All right. Title, first and last name, title, like it
Julian Mack, Julianmack. Last name Mack, like the truck, not like the computer. Oh, I already said Mack. And I'm a spokesman with the Community Solidarity Response Network.
Julian, I saw on social media, I heard different people talking about some of the uniforms, some of the attire that the Toledo Police Department was wearing on the very first day that the bigger protest happened. Talk to me about your feeling about what they were wearing or carrying or that type of thing.
Yeah, so I think we saw, and we've seen across the country, our domestic police forces are behaving like an occupying army. And when you're dressed that way, and when you have military equipment, it's much easier to behave that way. I'm of the belief that we should, protecting and serving is not behaving like an occupying army or military in our own neighborhoods. And that's why I think it's so important that we demilitarize the police force. Because, especially like you see these pictures, I know I saw with the Lucas County Sheriff a couple weeks ago, they were dressed up in fatigues, which I don't understand because it doesn't help you blend in with the environment at all. But it looks militaristic, right? And so police officers, when they're dressed militaristic, behave in a militaristic way. Same thing that happened in Monroe, Michigan. The Monroe County Sheriff's Department was dressed in military attire, right? And then they behaved that way. We can't be surprised, when police officers are dressed like military and they behave like military.
Did you know that so I spoke to TPD today, and they said, they didn't have any military out there, contrary to what some people thought, that these were military people out there. Did you know that they were not military? Did you know that
the Lucas County Sheriff's Department did have people dressed up in military gear. And while there may not have been Toledo police officers dressed in military gear, the riot gear looks something similar to a Star Wars stormtrooper and the Imperial Empire, right? And I don't think that was, they were dressed that way, prepared for a riot, right? And I think that when you dress that way, people respond. People don't respond in a calm manner, right? That sight in itself, there's protesters dressed up in flip-flops, and the police are dressed up in riot gear. You tell me who's prepared for a riot, and who's, I would say it's not the people in flip-flops. So, yes, and as far as TPD, I'll just wait until it gets done. I have a good point right after this.
Sure.
Can't let them take your joy.
It's the remix.
I'll still be able to hear you.
Okay. All right. As far as TPD, they drove down a residential street in a tank, right, and shot tear gas that, in accordance to the Geneva Convention, is illegal and in acts of warfare. Yet we use that domestically, right? Why are we using chemical weapons against our own citizens when we can't use when it's banned to use that in acts of war, right? These are questions that I think are becoming painfully evident and bringing to the surface about the way policing functions across America and here locally in Lucas County. see an officer in riot gear or military gear, it doesn't seem like they're there to protect and serve you, right? So it's not the way to build trust in the community. I don't think that me just as an individual feels that way. But that's the problem, right? They're functioning as like an occupying army, and the budgets are like, the budgets it rival the military budgets of some small countries, right? And so, I mean, it's not. We must demilitarize our police department, right? We're not going to build trust out.
Julian, would you say though, speaking to TPD today, or in their defense, from what I'm hearing from them is, some of them wear this gear because they're trying to protect themselves from items being thrown at them, from protesters perhaps when they get out of hand, for that officer to feel safe as well when they're going out in the front lines of this.
I wonder what would be said about us if we were to show up in riot gear and military gear outside the police department, right? For our protection. Yeah. So, I think that response is indicative of the type of response that we continue to see with the violence, the state-sponsored violence in our communities, where there's a double standard when it comes to police departments. If we were to line up right here in riot gear or military gear, I'm pretty sure we'd be called terrorists, right? Many of us. But it's okay because it's the police department. That's not how I like to see my tax dollars spent. I would rather see that spent in my community, teaching a child how to read or stay out of trouble.
Have you guys been in talks with the TPD or the sheriff's office as far as maybe them doing some different things when it comes to how they come out there, how they present themselves, either a uniform or, what they're wearing?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that lessons were learned, some lessons were learned on that Saturday. I think there have been dozens of protests since then. Very few have police officers showed up in military gear or with military equipment. And we've seen, in my opinion, that's the only difference. And everything's been peaceful. All right, so what is the variable factor here? Right? Protesters are still dressed in flip-flops, right? But when police aren't dressed in military gear or riot gear, things don't seem to escalate. And when they're not as confrontational with people who are protesting, things seem to, cooler heads seem to prevail. Right? So, I'm of the belief that police confronting protesters is, while protesters are specifically protesting the police, is a bad mix, right? I think we've seen that over and over and over again. And it was one of the failures, I think, of the Toledo Police Department and the Kapsakavich administration. I think that's why we saw that apology, right? Is because I think they do see that they made a mistake in the way that they tried to govern, surveil, right? And then they escalated situations with the protesters, right? I like to think some lessons have been learned, but we've had these issues a long time, and I won't, be fooled by, 2 weeks of good actions against 400 years of really tyrannical, oppressive behavior. But I'm hopeful. Like,
Today also, when I spoke to TPD, they said that the BIO told me she is working on a way to release all the audio from that day as far as the communication between officers and like dispatch and that kind of thing, and how, you know, the things that were kind of unraveling for them. And so would you like that? Do you think that could help for you guys, for the public to have, to hear that, and for them to be kind of transparent with what kind of went down and maybe why they felt different?
And my initial question would be, why would it just be audio, right? We have body cams. Were they on? There were SWAT officers there. I know one of the requests that we've been saying is that SWAT officers should have body cams and they should be on. I'd love to see the transparency of the perspective of a person in a SWAT tank shooting at unarmed civilians. That's the kind of transparency I'd like to see. What looked so threatening from that view? I don't think audio is gonna give us that picture. Yeah. Like,
Anything else, Dad? Anything I didn't ask you? You would like to
Sure. I'll just kind of give it a little summation. I'm gonna let this truck pass.
Sure.
Military equipment, the militaristic look, the military equipment costs money. Demilitarizing our police force will save money and allow for resources to be put into better policing and to be put into the community to really prevent a lot of the issues that we see, societal ills that we see in the first place. And that's really what we want to see, right?
When you say that, like, do you mean you would want them to wear like simpler like uniforms, or not just, you know, not to have all this gear as far as like?
Yeah. So I mean, in all these conversations, right? They talk about, you know, kind of these old school cops when they would walk the beats, and you know what I mean, and you knew your local police officer like they knew the milkman and things like that. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not going to engage in a conversation with somebody with a large rifle on their back, dressed like they're ready for war. That's not critical, you know. Sometimes I am in disbelief at the things that money gets spent on with this department. I don't understand why we would have an ice cream truck. I think these people understand what they're doing, but some of the actions seem counterintuitive to each other. Why would you ride an ice cream truck down a street trying to build community relations, and then ride a tank down the street trying to build community relations? Pick one, because you can't have both, right? Because if you build trust here, you're going to lose trust there. And in the meantime, with both of them, we're wasting money with these failed efforts that could be used in other areas. That last question got me. You're good. The last question got me a little. Thank you. That's it.